We are ready.
Excellent. Good evening. Welcome to the webinar. And if you just joined us, then I hope it's a wonderful evening where you are. It could be the afternoon, depending on whereabouts in the world you are right now. Myself, Dave Crane, and Ernesto Verdugo. I'm actually in Dubai, in the UAE. And Ernesto, where are you?
I am in Houston, Texas, in the United States.
And through technology, somehow we are one, which is fantastic. And we've got lots of people joining us from all across the world in Europe and a lot of people in Dubai as well, which is fantastic. So we've got a lot to share with people today. Really fascinating stuff because I think the world in 2016 has probably, I don't remember a time that was so brutal on people as we've experienced in the last 12 months on almost every single level. I've never experienced a time when so many people are wondering, where did all this come from? I think that one of the things about this webinar is when you go through the contact, the details about where people will have actually reached it and things will have had contact with them, it'll make a lot of things come together and make a lot more sense and hopefully give people an insight into what's coming in the next 12 months afterwards. I was going to say, so when we talked about it, we looked at a number of different areas, which we'll explain as the webinar goes on. I think that in everything from personal life to business life to people's emotional well-being, there's elements of all of that which are touched on by the webinar. So it's a must view for anybody who wants to take off the blinkers and see what's coming in 2017.
Okay, thanks, Dave, for that great intro. And I think now it's time that we get started right now. I am, as mentioned, transmitting live from what I call my Internet Oval Office in Houston, Texas. I like calling it the Oval Office just to make sure that I am in the right set to get you started for 2017. So once again, we are going to be talking about what's going to be happening in 2017. And most importantly, I'm going to be sharing with you facts and not just something which is smoke in the air or something that I am pulling out of my sleeve. So let's start with the first fact. Donald J. Trump was elected the 45th president of the DSA, according to the Time magazine cover of December 2016. Now, what is the DSA, the Divided States of America? I don't think that there has been any election in history that has divided the United States so much as it has this last election. Now, very important thing for you to know is there is no difference who would have been in the White House or who is in the White House, because what we are going to be talking is about facts, not theories or anything like that, just basic facts. I've been predicting trends since the year 2002. That means that I have a long history of seeing the future before it arrives. Now, that doesn't mean that I am sold, or that I have sold my soul to the devil, or that I have possibly a crystal ball to see what's going to be happening. In reality, every single one of us can see what's happening if they learn how to identify and read patterns. So very important. A pattern, if it happens one time, it doesn't really matter. If it happens twice, it can become a pattern, and you need to understand how this works. So, pattern recognition is the basic way of intelligence. So, once again, out of all our mental abilities, pattern recognition is said to have the highest correlation with general intelligence factor. This is primarily because pattern recognition is the ability to see order in a chaotic environment, which is, of course, the primary condition of life. Patterns can be found in ideas, words, symbols, and images. Pattern recognition is a key determinant of your potential in logical, verbal, numerical, and spatial abilities. It is essential for reasoning because your capacity to think logically is based on your perception of the logic around you. Your pattern recognition skills are expressed verbally through your long-term exposure to language, and your mathematical and spatial abilities are based on your perception of numerical data and 3D objects. In other words, pattern recognition is the key to anticipation and one of the most desired skills in business. So, what we're going to be doing today is teaching you how to anticipate. Once again, we're not going to be talking about educated guesses. I am not some sort of clairvoyant. I don't have a genie in a lamp trying to figure out what's going to be happening. I'm not guessing because my educated guesses are as good as yours. What we're going to be talking here is going to be trend hunting. I've been a trend hunter for a number of years, and I'm going to explain you how that works. So, first of all, my educated guess in January 2016 was that the 2016 election was going to be between Hillary Clinton and Marco Rubio. That was my educated guess. But once again, my educated guess is as good as yours. My educated guess in January 2016 would have been that Donald Trump would never make it to the White House. That was just an educated guess. And my guess would have been as good as the next person. Now, that is not what I want to be dealing with. What I want to be dealing is with facts. The fact is, the historical trend was against the Democrats. So, in my trends presentation in 2015, at the beginning of 2016, I actually mentioned that the possibilities of the Republicans to win the presidency were incredibly high. Once again, if it happens twice, it can easily be a pattern. So, now that you understand this, let's just move on. We are entering an era of disinformation, and I believe that this era of disinformation is creating the end of innocence. We are having right now a catch 22 of the times that we live in. According to Denzel Washington, he says, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. But if you watch the news, you're misinformed. The question is, what is worse? So, because there's so many confusing factors right now, I have to once again make sure that you understand that my prediction methods are 100% tangible. How do I do it? Simply by connecting dots. I practice the act of connecting dots. On this picture, on the picture on the right, you can see all the dots unconnected, and possibly if you wouldn't have the elephant on the left, you wouldn't really know exactly what this is. Now, what I can tell you is the moment that you connect the dots, you can clearly see that that is an elephant. And that is exactly what I am doing. So let me just share with you some of my predictions for 2015. That was basically 2 years ago. I mentioned that the price of oil was going to go down. How did I know that? By simply connecting dots and watching some of the patterns. Once again, I also mentioned that there was going to be a rise on a big group. In those days, I didn't know that it was called ISIS, but I knew that it was happening. Why? Because, of course, I had already the facts, I had already the information, and I already knew what patterns and what dots to connect. I also mentioned that Cuba was going to become quote unquote friends with the United States. I also been mentioning already for a number of years that 2015 was going to be the year of virtual reality, even though there it was born. Right now, you will see that now it's really the age of virtual reality. I mentioned that in Spain that there was going to be no president and there was going to be a lot of problems. And why did I know that? Because, of course, I've been already observing what has been going on and how everything gets connected. I also mentioned that many of the millennials were already getting into the workforce. And, of course, that was going to create some changes in the world. I was the first one to bring publicly the importance of the GAFA economics. Now you might be wondering, well, what is GAFA? GAFA is Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. So, and then at the very end, I also mentioned that Vladimir Putin was going to get himself in very controversial situations, and he has been still in very controversial situations, starting with the Ukraine and with a number of different things, and right now with the elections, etc. So, as you can see, I have some track record of really saying exactly what has happened. Now, my predictions in 2016 were a little bit more commercial. I mentioned that Amazon was going to go up. Obviously, the stock of Amazon went up. I also mentioned that Facebook was going to go up. Those were relatively easy to see. I also mentioned that Netflix also was going to be on the rise. I also mentioned that the possibilities of having a Republican on the White House were going to happen. Once again, that's exactly what happened. I mentioned that the ultra right in Europe was going to become stronger. I also predicted that the United Kingdom was going to leave the European Union, even though everybody was saying that it was just absolutely crazy. I mentioned that there were going to be tremendous hacking, and there was a good possibility that there was going to be hacking on the election itself. And I also mentioned that live video streaming was going to be very powerful. In those days, I was talking about these two platforms, Blab and Periscope. I didn't know that Facebook Live was going to arrive, but all of these predictions happened exactly as I mentioned them. Now, why did I know? Not because I have a crystal ball or because I am a clairvoyant or because I sold my soul to the devil. No, it happens because, of course, there are patterns. So, what are my four distinct methods of prediction? First of all, historical correlations. If I can see that there's a historical correlation in the past, I study it because I know that it can happen again. Second, identifying different patterns. Pattern recognition is absolutely critical, and you're going to see throughout this presentation how easy and how powerful this could be. Third, historical behavior. I mean, you can see if the behavior of people in certain times has been relatively similar because of similar circumstances, the possibility of that pattern repeating are very high. Connecting unsuspecting dots and unconnected dots. Now, I have to be a little bit careful with this because sometimes people compare apples and pears, and that doesn't really work. So, now, please understand this metaphor. This is how I see pattern correlation. I am not a gambler, nor I gamble frequently. However, once in a while, whenever I've been into places where there's a casino, I go to the casino just to have a little bit of fun. And I know the only game that I enjoy playing is the roulette. Why? Because it's the only one that I know that I can have some control. Because, of course, it is a circle. Everything that goes in a circle, it can create patterns. So, for example, the 24-hour clock can create several patterns. The times, the seasons can also create patterns. I mean, there's so many different patterns that you can see, and anything that goes around, that is very easy to create patterns. So here in a roulette, it creates patterns. So how can we identify some patterns? Well, first of all, we can find patterns here. If you see there, there's some patterns. If you see there, there's some patterns. If you see also there, there are some patterns. Now, we can also find patterns here, here, or here. So if I'm going to be betting and I see that, for example, we have 32, 35, 30, 29, I know that the ball has this pattern of going to the bottom of the dashboard or the board, right? We can also see 0 to 18, 19 to 36, or we can have even, or we can have odd, or we can have black, or we can have red. So how does this work if you will be betting? Well, I'm going to put you to a very simple example. For example, let's say that you are checking what are the numbers that keep on winning. So you see that it is a red number, a red number, a red number, a red number, and it's been already 4 times. The possibilities that the fifth time is going to be a red number are about 80 to 20. So the possibilities are very high because, of course, you have already established that there is a pattern. Same thing happens with the kind of work that I am doing. So let me show you exactly how my trend hunter dashboard works. Now, this is just an example. I use obviously other publications, but I want you to just understand this because it's very important. If I am into digital marketing and I am into all the technical marketing, one of the blogs that I would read is Mashable. I will also read Gizmodo. I will also read, for example, GigaOM. I will also read ZDNet. Now, if I see that there's something that appears in 2 or 3 of these publications, I say, well, this might be a pattern, but I don't really consider it a pattern until it actually breaks out of the very specific media. So the moment that I see something that was on Mashable or any of these other websites, and then suddenly I see that it makes it to the Huffington Post or to Time Magazine or the Washington Post, or in my case, because of course I live right now in Houston, Texas, the Houston Chronicle, then I say, hey, this is becoming strong. Now, if I read that this is in both of them, and then it also appears in some of the other specialists blogs like Copy Blogger or other magazine like Entrepreneur Magazine, I said, wow, this is very strong. So now that I know that, I possibly will check it with other magazine, which is a PC magazine, or I will go to the website Trend Hunter, which, by the way, I recommend you to check. It's just absolutely fantastic. Sometimes they identify the trend before me. Sometimes I identify it before them. And then also another website that I check is L2. So if I see that it appears in Gizmodo and then suddenly appears in the Washington Post and then suddenly appears in Entrepreneur Magazine and then suddenly I go to L2 and they're already talking about it, it's already a bit late, but it is definitely a trend. So I try to pick up the trend when I have already identified on the first and three or four publications. And this is exactly how trend hunting works. And this is how I created this presentation full of incredible information, which once again, it's 100% factual. So now that you understand that, let's go into all the predictions of what's going to happen in 2017. So you can bank on this prediction. We are going to be living throughout this year and the next 4 years on this question. What's going to happen next? It's just incredible what Donald Trump has done so far of breaking every rule and norm that he can possibly break. And everybody's asking themselves, well, what's going to happen next? What is he going to do next? I love watching scary movies because you always wonder what happens next. And that's going to happen on the haunting hour. You're always going to know what's going to happen next. So you can bank on this prediction. We're going to live on tremendous uncertainty. So from 2017 onwards, we are going to be living in a kind of Alice in Wonderland world where everything that was down is up and everything that's up is down. We are entering the era of anti-intellectualism. Yeah, as Isaac Asimov said, there is a cult of ignorance in the United States, and there has always been. There's a strain of anti-intellectualism that has been a constant thread winding its way through political and cultural life, nurtured by the false notion that democracy means that your ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. Now, this was Isaac Asimov once again, and a very important thing. I would like to make it easier for you to understand what I mean. This is a more user-friendly version of that quote. In other words, we have entered an era where the bizarre will marry the inexplicable, and whatever would have been considered absurd just a few years ago will start happening on a daily basis. Now, if this is not bizarre and unexplicable, what is? Just think about it. In 1995, Umberto Eco, the author of the best-selling book The Name of the Rose, explained that we were heading to an era of irrationalism, or as Asimov describes it, anti-intellectualism. Here are some of the bizarre situations that we have seen so far. At these points, it looks like random happenings, but there's nothing random about them. First, the incumbent government believes that global warming is a hoax created by China for their own benefit. That's what Donald Trump thinks. The incoming vice president of the United States does not believe in dinosaurs and or the theory of evolution. How is that possible? It's crazy. The president-elect considers he does not need to listen to daily security briefings as he's a really smart person. The president-elect does not consider necessary to involve the State Department when dealing with foreign leaders. What the hell is that? It is considered normal bashing the press and calling them in German Lügenpresse, which is lying press, which is just unprecedented and it has never happened before. The president elect is openly endorsed by the Ku Klux Klan, which is just the weirdest thing in the world. On his book, The Art of the Deal, the president elect mentions that getting even is considered a normal behavior. Isn't that weird? How could he encourage that? I mean, why would you like to get even with everything that happens to you? That is just weird. The alternative right blogger and enthusiast is now named chief strategist for the president elect. That is just insane. The president elect mentions he will build an army so big and strong everyone should be and will be afraid of it. The president elect boasts over the size of his penis in live television. The president elect mentions that this that he is our voice, and only him knows how to solve all the problems in this country. So I've been mentioning to you all these random quote unquote situations that we have faced last year in 2016. Now, they are not so random if you understand this piece of information. Please understand that Trump is no fool. He's an avid marketer. And it took me over a year to understand how good of a marketer he was. But it wasn't until I read the book 80/20 from my good friend Barry Marshall. And in a post that he did recently, he mentioned Hillary paid $13.97 per vote, while Trump acquired all his voters for 5.19. So if somebody can actually have that big difference in how much they spend to get a new quote unquote customer slash voter, then you can see that he's a very avid marketer. Now, how did he do that? Well, please understand this. Perry talks on his book about a concept that he calls racking the shotgun. He says, in a noisy club in Vegas, a professional gambler pulled a swat of shotgun out of his jacket, racketed, and looked around to see who recognized the racketing sound and turned their heads. He said to his protege, John, the people who turn their heads are not marks. Do not play poker with them. Gamble with everyone else. So, imagine that anybody arrives to a shopping mall, to a restaurant, to any place where there's a large crowd, and they are wearing a jacket, and suddenly they get a shotgun, and then suddenly in the shotgun they go like, you know that noise from the racketing, and there would be people that will immediately turn around to see that this guy has a gun, and of course they will be completely terrified. There will be some people that will completely ignore that, and there will be some people that, well, I mean, will completely be oblivious to what is happening. So at this point, what Donald Trump was doing, he was racking the shotgun with all these random things that he was doing. They were not random. He was actually racking the shotgun just to see who was listening to him, and then he was marketing to them. So let's try to understand the bizarre and the inexplicable. First of all, let's understand Trump's modus operandi. He racks the shotgun. Second, he generates massive controversy and publicity by terrifying everyone. And he quietly executes post shotgun plan while everybody else distracted by the press. So he is like a magician. With one hand, he distracts the audience, with the other one, he does the trick. And that's what you need to understand, because this is exactly how we're going to be working. So this is how Trump operates. Please pay attention. Here we can see the first thing that Trump said when he decided to run for president. He said, "I'm going to get rid of all the Mexicans. I'm going to build a wall. They are all rapists, whatever." That was his opening statement. Did he actually mean that? I don't think so. I think he was just racking the gun. Afterwards, in one of his rallies in Mississippi, what did he do? He brought Nigel Farage, the guy that created Brexit, to one of his rallies. Why was he there? I mean, was he even relevant? I don't think that he was even relevant. But the interesting thing is he was racking the gun to see who was listening. Third, he talked about that he was going to get rid of all the Muslims. Now, does that mean that he's going to be doing all of those things? I don't think so. I think all he's doing is racking the gun to see who is paying attention. Now, you can see already that this has happened more than once, twice, three, four times. So that's why it became already a pattern. Now, what he's doing with racking the gun, he's distracting you. He's distracting everybody from actually what is going on in the world. Now, if you want to be a leader, you need to know the two sides of the coin. That's absolutely critical. You have to learn to see the other side of every coin. This is an important leadership trait. Robert Kiyosaki mentions that the next great transfer of wealth will take place not by conspiracy but by ignorance. And the next transfer of wealth has already started. During 2016, two books made it to the New York Times best-selling list, and both of them talk about the same thing: the stupidity in America. I mean, there's so many stupid people in the United States, it just blows your mind. Now, I am not just talking negatively about the United States, because stupidity is absolutely everywhere. I mean, in most countries, the amount of stupid people is just absolutely insane. And of course, when stupid people become a majority, then you have a problem. Let me show you what I mean here in the United States. There was the results of the public policy polling of 2016. Now, you can see how ignorant and stupid people are. During the Obama inauguration, the Dow Jones Industrial Average on January 20, 2009 was at 7,949. Today, it's almost at 20,000, which is an 11,000 point difference. Now, if you ask most of Trump voters if the Dow Jones went up or down during the Obama administration, 39% of them will actually tell you that it went down. That makes them absolutely ignorant and, in other words, stupid, as they mentioned in the previous books. Same thing happens with unemployment. In January 2009, the unemployment rate was at 7.8%. Right now, 8 years after, it was at 4.6%, which means that it went down. However, if you will ask Clinton voters, 74% of them understand that the unemployment went down. Johnson voters, 52% understand that they went down. Stein voters understand that 48% that they went down. However, Trump voters, most of them thought that it was not that it was not really working. That about 65% it went down. So here just basically proves that people have no clue what's going on. And this is just something that you need to be a little bit careful, because this is the history is repeating itself again. Now, I am not a fan of Ayn Rand, but I have to agree with her. We are fast approaching the stage of the ultimate inversion. Once again, whatever is up is down, whatever is down is up. The stage where the government is free to do anything it pleases while the citizens may act only by permission, which is the stage of the darkest periods of human history, the stage of rule by brutal force. That's why we have to be really careful. I read a book that changed my way of seeing history. I've always been a history buff, but this book changed my perspective in history, because I could see that there were many patterns that repeated themselves. So right now we have entered into a winter, which is called a crisis. It started in 2008. Right now we have already hit the second signpost in 2015. The third signpost is going to happen in 2017. The fourth signpost that we're getting into a huge crisis that's going to last till the year 2028 will be in 2018. So we're getting into a big crisis. Very important. You need to understand that if we are in a time of a crisis, you can not only survive with a plan A. Now, how do I know that we're heading to a crisis? By simply connecting the dots. If we see here in the United States, student loans are up, more people are living in food stamps. The federal debt is higher. Money printing is a lot higher. Health insurance costs are going up. Labor force participation is going down. Workers' share economy is going down. Median family income is also going down, and home ownership is also going down. So by simply connecting some dots, I can see that the economy is not really doing very good. Now, there could be all sorts of things happening, and they are distracting you, and Trump is a master in distracting. But in reality, these are the facts. This is what's going on. So, what I suggest is that you understand that from now onwards, you need to have a plan A, because possibly your job is not going to be there anymore, because things are going to change. Let me explain to you. Let me just elucidate a little bit more on what's going on, because this is incredibly powerful. For the past 30 years, the debt ceiling has risen in the United States dramatically. From the times of Jimmy Carter to the times of Barack Obama, it's $18 trillion. The debt ceiling has gone up. Now, Why should I care? Well, if you actually go to the website of the Federal Reserve Bank so that you can see that these are facts, you can see that there's $4.4 trillion in debt and $4 billion in capital. That means that for every dollar that they have in capital, there's $110 in debt. That is very scary because the fact is, from 2008 to 2016, $3.9 trillion have been printed. Now, why should I care about that? Because we are right now living in very similar circumstances than the hyperinflation that happened in Germany in the 1920s. Now, there's a very interesting point here. In those days in Germany, if they wanted to buy a loaf of bread, it will cost them 10 million marks. And Germany took a long time before they could recover from this. Now, what is the big problem that is not in the hands of Trump or in the hands of Hillary or in the hands of any politician in the United States? Well, the International Monetary Fund can decide the luck of the United States. There are 189 nations where they decide which one is going to be the reserve currency. At this point, the reserve currency is the US dollar. But they can change it for the Japanese yen or for the Swiss mark or for the Swiss franc or for the I don't know, euro, whatever it is, they're going to be deciding. If they decide that it's not going to be the dollar, then there's a big problem waiting for the entire world. And there, of course, they are protecting a number of things. So this is something that they cannot control. And if they see that the US dollar is incredibly weak, even though it is superficially protected, then we have a problem. So the fact is, there is a bubble and it can burst anytime. Once again, the greatest transfer of wealth has already started, exactly as Robert Kiyosaki mentions. And this transfer of wealth is not going to happen by conspiracy, but by ignorance, stupidity. If you do not know what's happening, you have a problem. So once again, all this stuff, it's tangible. All my predictions are completely tangible. Once again, we need to identify the patterns and we have to anticipate. This is the most important skill to master. As Steve Jobs says, there's an old Wayne Gretzky quote that I love. I skate toward where the puck is going to be, not where it has been. And we've always tried to do that at Apple since the very beginning, and we have always done that. So once again, we need to anticipate. I don't have to repeat anymore that we are heading into turbulent times. And me as a pilot, I have to tell you that if you are flying in the part of the in the air where there's a lot of turbulence in the sky, it's going to be very difficult for you to fly. So very important, you have to fly above the turbulence to avoid all the shakiness. So if you're flying at lower altitudes, what's going to happen is you're going to be confronted with a ton of turbulence, and that's not what you want to have. So what do I mean by that? Well, this is just a way for me to express what's happening to your personal consciousness. There's 7 levels of personal consciousness, and please, consciousness has nothing to do with intelligence because there's a lot of very intelligent people which are not very conscious. Conscious, it's a complete different thing. Now, there's 7 levels of consciousness, how aware you are of what's going on. Level number 1 is survival, 2 relationship, 3 self-esteem, 4 transformation, 5th internal cohesion, 6th making a difference, 7 service. Most people are operating under level 4, which is transformation. So most people are still in physical survival and safety. They're looking over their financial stability, their self-defense, their nutrition, a little bit their health. But of course, when you are in that level of consciousness, what happens is that you tend to be involved in violence, or there's greed or corruption or territorials. I mean, most of the problems are because, of course, people are in survival mode. Some become a little bit more dependent on relationships. So they have a good relationship with the family, with their friends, they improve their communication, all sorts of different things. The problem is that their consciousness makes them create blame, jealousy, judgment, conflict, gossip. Some that have already overcome all those two steps, they suddenly have a higher self-worth. And even if that looks great, because of course, I mean, you could be proud of yourself, you could be self-reliant, you could have self-discipline, you could have a positive self. The negatives are that people become arrogant. They think that everything is about status, power, glamour, rigidity. If you think about it, all these three levels of consciousness are 95% of the people. And a lot of the stupidity happens because people are in survival, relationship, or the self esteem level. So, my invitation to you is to understand that you need to grow another level, at least that you get into transformation, where you're going to be working on adaptability, continuous improvement, courage, and team and being a team player. Afterwards, if you actually manage to do that, you're going to start working into finding a meaningful existence. So you're going to be living out of integrity, alignment, authenticity, creativity, passion, honesty, and trust. Then afterwards, you will be able to start planning ways of making a difference by actualizing your meaning in life, collaborating with other people, using your intuition, mentoring other people, and also using your empathy. And at the very top, your maximum level of awareness is service to humanity and the planet. So basically, using your compassion, your humility, your future for future generations. So this is absolutely critical. Most of the people which are going to suffer throughout this crisis, which is going to last all the way to 2028, are the people which are here. That's why it's absolutely critical that you understand that you need to grow up. And I will tell you specifically how we're going to be helping you to do that. But on this point, we finish the first part of this presentation. This presentation has three parts. This was the first one, was the global perspective. So now it's time to talk about trends. So let's discover the digital trends that will shape 2017. And once again, after you understand what's going to happen globally, the trends which are happening, the third part of this presentation is going to happen not today, it's going to happen on another date, and we're going to tell you exactly how that is going to work. So let's just get started with the second part of this presentation. Trend number 17. Email will start to be replaced. This is something that I have already seen for a while. Now, this doesn't mean that email will disappear. What we can see is that slowly it's becoming a secondary way of reaching people. Just think about it. I prefer to be contacted by WhatsApp, or I prefer to be contacted by Facebook Messenger, or I prefer to be contacted by SMS because I am on the move most of the time. Most likely, this is also happening to you. So this is not that difficult for you to see that it is actually happening. Once again, this doesn't mean that email will disappear. It's just going to change. Trend number 16. Smartphone prices will continue to drop. When I purchased my first iPhone in 2007, I think I paid over $1,000 for it. Right now, you can get an iPhone for $199, $200, even if it's used. So obviously, the price has gone down, and it has been going down all the way from 2008. So what is very important for you to understand that because of that, more and more people have access to mobile marketing. For the first time in history, mobile is bigger than desktop. In October 2016, mobile and tablet traffic on the internet was higher than desktop traffic. This is a big change. We are seeing Wi-Fi hubs raising all over the world. In Dubai, there's more of these Wi-Fi hub plants. Singapore, Amsterdam, London. There's a number of different cities which are working. New York City is working on having an entire city which is Wi-Fi ready. Now, another issue that you need to take into consideration is that for Generation Y, which are the millennials, and Generation Z, which is the after generation, their tablet is the most valuable possession. This year we had some issues trying to get my son some Christmas presents because he was just very happy with his tablet. He didn't need anything else. So all these trends, mobile trends, are incredibly important. Trend number 15, recurring payments are a confidence vote. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you will see that this is a huge trend that happened in 2016 and 2017. In the past, if you wanted something on the internet, all you need to do was go to their shopping cart, buy now, and that was it. Right now, most of the services are asking you to subscribe. 2016 made a company called Dollar Shave Club very big. They made a lot of money by selling shaving stuff for men, and they were providing all the knives and everything for you to shave, all the well, you know, those things to shave, and that's just a very important thing. Then, if you think about it, you can have news, games, magazines, music, comics. All of these things are on a subscription basis. If you think of all the services like Amazon Prime, Netflix, LegalZoom, Spotify, all of them are on subscription basis. Even there's a subscription for buying sausages and meat, which is called carnivore. So, why is this important? Because if you have a business, you have to think of a model that is subscription based, because we are entering the subscription economy. This is a very important trend. Now, also, what you need to understand is the purchasing habits of the millennials. We have a tremendous influence. For example, did you know that less and less driving licenses are being issued for kids which are 16 to 21 years old here in the United States? And the reason why that is happening is because kids prefer to use services like Uber or services like Lyft to take them around. It's a lot easier and a lot less complicated for them. So they don't care about a driving license. All they need to do is they take their mobile and they get their Uber, and they take them anywhere. They don't have to worry about parking. They don't have to worry about insurance. They don't have to worry about anything. So this is already changing. Why? Because in the year 2023 or 2020 possibly, I predict that the car industry is going to be having a problem because of this. Also, another thing that you need to take into consideration is that it is a lot easier to make payments right now with Apple Pay, and you can just other payment services. You can just pay with your iPhone or with your a normal phone, and that's an important thing for you to understand. Trend number 14: hacktivism and cyber terrorism. 2016 opened the doors to a complete new universe. Julian Assange created a big issue with the elections, and now, right now, the what can bring society to their knees? It's not going to be the goths or the vandals or the Huns. It's going to be the geeks. Now, this is important for you to know because we are entering an era of disinformation, and that will become a way of manipulation. There's going to be fake news all over the place. And right now, governments understand that the best way to manipulate their people is to provide fake news. So be careful where you're listening to your news right now. Trend number 13: the on demand economy is going to grow even more. I'm not sure if you're 100% aware of what is the on demand economy, but for you to understand, I'm going to explain it very easily using two examples: Uber and Airbnb. As you can see on that graph, they have already the hockey stick. That means that they are on the rise. Now, the on-demand economy, it's becoming plan B because people are understanding that by using the on-demand economy, they can make a lot of money, or they can at least sustain their families. So sometimes this plan B becomes plan A. If you think about it, there's 23 alternative websites for Airbnb and 31 alternative websites for Uber. Now, remember, the on-demand economy is not only Uber and Airbnb. Spot and Monkey Parking, where you can rent your parking spot. It's another way. There's also Closet Collective, where you can rent your designer clothes. There's Instacart and Postmates, which you will be able to deliver they will be able to deliver your grocery shopping. There's Washu, where they deliver your laundry and dry cleaning. There's DoorDash and Caviar, which they will deliver food from restaurants. There is Favor, which is available to help others run errands. There is Amazon Flex, where you will be able to deliver Amazon Prime packages and make money. TaskRabbit, where you will find a handyman in your neighborhood. neighborhood. There is Schleppers, where you will be having pickup rentals for moving your stuff. There's dog vacay, which are pet sitters. Doctor on demand, which is medical help via Skype. Urban massage, which is home massage therapists. Urban city babysitters. Honor, which is providing company and care for the elderly. Josephine, which is selling home cooked meals. So, as you can see, using the internet, there's a ton of ways of having a plan B for many people. The on demand economy is really growing. Another example, Style Sid, which is a hairstylist and a makeup artist. Now, what is very interesting is that we are entering into the third wave of on demand. On the first wave, we had Kindle, we had Hulu, we had Netflix. On the second wave, we suddenly got Uber and Airbnb and TaskRabbit and other things. Now, on the third wave, there are already platforms where you will be able to enable your idea to become an on demand service. And this is what is very, very interesting. So keep an eye on that, because right now, the third wave of on demand is going to be becoming a lot bigger. Trend number 12. Chatbots will be absolutely everywhere. Now, you might be wondering, what on earth is a chatbot? Well, a chatbot is a service powered by rules and sometimes artificial intelligence that you interact with via a chat interface. The service could be any number of things, ranging from functional to fun, and it could live in a major chat product like Facebook Messenger, Slack, Telegram, text messages, etc., etc. Right now, the chatbot ecosystem, it's quite big all over the place. In fact, recently I saw that Facebook has now launched officially their intelligent chatbot, which is called Jarvis. But possibly you heard of Amazon Alexa, or possibly you heard of Siri. That is going to become really big. So you have to think about ways in how you can use chatbots to enhance your business. Trend number 11: smartphones. Virtual reality is going to grow. This is something that I've been talking about already for 3 or 4 years, and it's a trend that I picked up, but it hasn't really taken off. But right now, it is clear that it's going to take off because this has been the most popular gift during the Christmas season. So what we're going to be seeing is we're going to be seeing a ton of virtual experiences of all kinds absolutely everywhere. So virtual reality will be everywhere. PlayStation already had the virtual reality. We're going to see it that it is used for marketing. Coca-Cola is providing one for you so that you can understand how Coca-Cola works. Same thing, even a Happy Meal in McDonald's. There's all sorts of different companies which are using it to give you some advertising about how their company works. And that is also an interesting trend. Now, before I show you trend number 10, I have to tell you that this is not a trend per se, it's actually a prediction. I might be wrong, but I have already identified a number of patterns that might show that this is going to happen. So, what's going to happen? Google is going to purchase Twitter. I believe that according to my dot connecting views, this is already cooking. Twitter was on the decline, but right now, because of Trump, the fastest Twitter handle in the Wild West, it is already getting a lot stronger again. So obviously, there's a fight between two titans to dominate the internet, and Twitter can help easily Google get some domination there, because right now Google needs another foot inside social media, because the only social media platform which is working for them is YouTube. And this is something that we can see on how YouTube, the role that YouTube played on the elections this time. But I predict that for the year 2020, YouTube is going to be also a lot stronger. Trend number 9: the content shock theory. I want you to understand that the economics of content are changing. There is an oversupply of readable content on the internet. However, I mean, there's so much content that people cannot consume it. So what's happening right now is that content, written content, video content, audio content are going down because, of course, it is not properly used. Now, we can see it in blogs like Buffer or Copyblogger or Moz, which are some of the big blogs on the internet. Their traffic is declining and has been declining from 2014, and 2016 even declined a lot more. So the question that most people ask me when I say these things is they say, well, is it a good idea to start a blog? In my eyes, the answer is no. Right now, you need to focus on video. You need to focus on YouTube. You need to focus on live video because that's going to be the content that more people are going to be consuming. Trend number 8, micro targeting and the social buying button. The social buying button has been already there for a while. However, only Pinterest has been successful using it. 55% of people have had some sort of success using the Pinterest buy button. In Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, it hasn't really been very successful. But I predict that for the year 2017, there's going to be a lot more, and we're going to see a lot more of purchasing opportunities on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat, and all these other platforms. Now, how do I know this? Because Trump's campaign was actually based on micro targeting. And this is a very interesting point. Please understand what I'm trying to say. Jared Kushner is the man that got Trump elected. Now, who is Jared Kushner? Well, Jared Kushner is the husband of Ivanka Trump, the daughter from Donald Trump. And he said the Trump campaign delivered a message tailoring sentiment of manipulation and machine learning. So, what they were doing is Trump racked the gun. Whoever responded to that message, they set advertisings for them so that they will purchase some of the merchandise that was making the money to sponsor the campaign. All that story that his campaign was self sponsored, it didn't really happen. Let me just show you this, which is very interesting. By using Facebook micro targeting, they managed to increase their sales from $8,000 per day to $80,000 per day, generating revenue, expanding the number of human being billboards, and proving the exact concept. Now, why is this important? Because in 2008, David Plouffe, the guy that got Obama elected, showed us the way on how to use social media. Right now, Jared Kushner has shown us how to use micro targeting to grow our business. Very important trend. Trend number 7, from videographers to cinematographers. We cannot be videographers anymore. I mean, videography it's just useless and absolutely obsolete. We have to start thinking like a cinematographer. Now, they are. Do you remember some of the video challenges that we experienced during the past 2 years? You might remember the Ice Bucket Challenge. That one, when they were filming the Ice Bucket Challenge, it was still relatively easy to film that challenge. Then it came the dab. Right now, the biggest challenge in 2016 was the mannequin challenge, where you will have a stadium or you will have a ton of people just basically holding still for 10, 15 seconds, and then somebody was filming. As you can see, look at the difference on the quality of the video. We are having longer and bigger video because of course we are having more quality on the internet. In fact, the 4K television on the internet is already a reality. When we started seeing videos on the internet, they were 480p. Then it went to 720p. Right now, most of the videos are 1080p, and 4K it's 2160p. However, there's already cameras which are 4K, which is about 4300 p, 320p, whatever that is. So of course the quality of video is a lot better now than it was before. So if you are having crappy videos and the internet provides you with the possibility of having very good quality videos, you're gonna suck. You're gonna look like a total idiot doing videos. So these are two words that you need to get into your vocabulary. First of all, Mevo, and second, gimbal. What is a gimbal? Well, it's not going to be a selfie stick anymore. What you want to have is one of these sticks that actually make your phone not move so that you look cinematic. And Mevo, I will explain you how it works. So right now we have seen that the selfie stick is sales are going down and more people are buying gimbals. And talking about Mevo, a Mevo is a camera that you can use to have in one camera 9 different shots of the same specific thing that you're filming. So of course it's going to become a lot more professional and a lot more sophisticated. Trend number 6, video platforms will dominate internet. Right now, Netflix and YouTube have about 50% of the traffic of the internet. And this is something very important for you to understand. Right now, Netflix grows as they're going to be allowing downloads. So in October, I think 2016, they started offering downloads. And I believe that the stock from Netflix is going to continue to go up. And also, what happens is that because, of course, people are taking action after watching a video, video marketing and mobile marketing and cinema graphics, exactly as I am telling you a little bit earlier, are incredibly important. Trend number 5, online payment processing is a must for all companies and entrepreneurs. In the latest um, issue of the Entrepreneur magazine, they are saying, well, how to succeed in 2017, and they single out payment processing as the must have for 2017. I ask you a question right now. How many of you have already a way to accept payments on the internet? Please answer here on the question and answer box. How many of you can process already payments? Wow, it's only a few of you. Well, that is a problem. You need to make sure that you have a way to process payments if you actually want to have a proper business in 2017 and beyond. This is very important because the internet is becoming more and more fierce in their competition. In 2011, there were 150 e-commerce websites. Right now, there's over 3,870 websites which are doing e-commerce, and it's going to be more and more, and they're going to be competing locally. That's an important thing for you to know. Trend number 4, your smartphone camera will become incredibly important. Mark Zuckerberg and Imran Khan from Snapchat and Facebook independently, they mentioned that the camera is going to be incredibly important. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, I was talking about how important Google Glass was going to become. That didn't really happen because the price was very high. Right now, Snapchat has released their spectacles for I think $120, $130. I believe that this is already going to be catching up. We are going to go from taking a picture to possibly creating GIFs or GIFs, however you want to call them, to more apps like MSQRD to create, getting a flower crown or big eyes or a monkey face or whatever it is, and that is going to be a big trend. Now, why is this important for me to know? Because this is the evolution of the internet, and it is camera based. So very important. First of all, we started with blogs, news, then friending, then chatting, then tweeting, then liking, then sharing. Right now, the internet is dominated by photos. These are the tools of Generation Z and Generation Y. Snapchat, Instagram, and right now, if you have kids of 7 to 11, you're possibly gonna already be familiar with Musically. Now, all of these things possibly don't make too much sense for you. Why should I know about this? Well, very simple, because these guys, these little guys, are already creating big trends. Kendall Jenner, which is the girl on the right, she's the half sister of Kim Kardashian. She had an agreement with cosmetics producer Stella Lauder, and then suddenly she said, "Well, I'm not going to be doing any more Instagrams for about a week, or I'm not going to be working with Snapchat for about a week." And Stella Lauder's sales went down 28%. That is just crazy. Now the other girl on the left, it's Jojo Siwa. Jojo Siwa has millions of followers, which are about her age, which are already being influenced by her. So recently she did a video of what Santa brought her, and she said, "Well, I got this present, and I got this present, and I got this present." And funny enough, those present sales were sky high. So as you can see, These influencers are very strong. And right now, there's a ton of opportunities for you to also become an influencer. So, once again, pictures and videos are very important, especially for Generation C and Generation Y. Trend number 13, the power of the GAFA NATO economy. As I was mentioning a little bit earlier, the GAFA economy was Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple. Right now, they have added Netflix, Airbnb, Tesla, and Uber. And this is very important because, as I was mentioning, the on demand economy, especially with Airbnb and Uber, are becoming a lot bigger. And that means that the working business models will continue to be cloned. So there's a lot of other companies which are coming in locally, which are growing in on demand. And people are finding that that's a good way to generate income. There's a desperate search for a second income. This is something that is growing. If you ask people why are they renting their apartments or their rooms in Airbnb, 59.2% of them will tell you that they are doing it because they are getting supplemental income. Right now, making $3,500 a month in Uber is not a fantasy anymore. It is actually a reality. I have already checked it with videos, with blogs, asking some of the Uber drivers whenever I am asking Uber, and it is confirmed they can make up to $3,500 a month, which that is enough to take them out of a workplace and make them be their own bosses. This is a way for them to become an entrepreneur. Same thing happens with Airbnb. If you, for example, rent an apartment, if you rent an apartment, possibly you might be getting $1,000, $2,000 a month. However, you might be able to get a lot more money if you rent your apartment by the week or by the day. And this is making people very interested, which of course takes me to trend number 2. Nobody is a prophet in their own land. And this is an important thing because the internet is allowing us to do short term immigration. What does that mean? Well, if I would like to go for 3 months, for example, to Thailand or to Indonesia or to any other country, and I'm coming from Europe or the United States, in Indonesia, my dollar is going to be it's going to go a lot further than it will go here in the United States. So I can make a little bit of money here, and then I can go to other countries and live a lot better. And this trend, this nomadic lifestyle, it's now possible and it's growing tremendously on the internet. Here we see an example. My friends Tom and Inge from the Netherlands, they are traveling. They call themselves the Dutch nomad family. We can see also websites like Refuga, which is travel with entrepreneurs. It's just growing tremendously. They have right now 15,000 traveling entrepreneurs. Right now, entrepreneurs are understanding the value of becoming international. So, my question to you is, are you already international, or how international are you? That's just an important question. And trend number 1, Facebook Live will continue to grow in 2017. Once again, last year I predicted as my trend number 7 that live streaming will be very strong with Blab and Periscope. I didn't know that Facebook Live was going to come in. Right now, Facebook Live is very strong. So I predict that there's going to be a lot of webinar like events in Facebook, that there's going to be a lot of companies which are going to be creating different sorts of OBS software, which is open broadcasting software. I predict that a lot of companies, and right now, for example, the White House is using Facebook Live. The several companies are already using it, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more. I believe that there's going to be a lot of news which are going to be appearing in Facebook Live. In fact, if you go to BeLive.tv, you can already have a studio, a television studio inside of your Facebook page, which is very interesting. I predicted that by 2017, Instagram was going to have Instagram Live, and actually it happened in 2016. This one was a little bit too late on my prediction, but it's already happening. So one of my recommendations for you to do is that you understand that you right now is the time to purchase your live domain, like for example yourname.live, because it's an important thing. So do that today. That's an important thing for you to do, because live streaming is going to become incredibly important. So with that, I finish all the trends and the second part of this presentation. Now, the question is, how can we benefit from these trends and predictions? Well, first of all, you need to understand that your content marketing will experience a transformation. You need to understand that the way that you try to make an impact on the internet is going to change. Another thing that you need to take into consideration is that mobile marketing and live streaming and real time interaction are going to be the most important parts for you to focus in. Next thing that you need to take into consideration, every single thing that you do on the internet needs to be newsworthy, because if not, nobody's going to be paying attention. Don't just create content for nothing. Remember that business as usual is over. Mark my words. What happened in the example of Trump calling Taiwan and upsetting China, this is going to become Trump's signature pattern. We will see this pattern repeated over and over during the next 4 years. What Trump wanted to see with this call is who's stuck in 2015 and who's already in 2017. So this quote unquote forbidden call quietly signaled 238 countries by racking the shotgun. And this is exactly what we're going to be seeing. There will be a massive wealth transfer as the tectonic plate shifts in the economy. You will experience it too. Question is, on which side of the equation are you going to be? On the receiving end or on the losing end? And that's an important thing. Business as usual is over. Don't let this shift take you by surprise, because you already know that these patterns are going to be happening. So you need to do something about it. So, what can you do? And that, I think, is the most important word. So, what I suggest is that you already start thinking as a team and working as a team. I predict that the time of the lone business owner or the lone entrepreneur is going to happen. Once again, it's going to disappear. Sorry, it's not going to happen. It's going to disappear. So, once again, a very important thing that you need to take into consideration is that from 2017 forward, you will need a plan B. And we have a possibility to help you with this. And I will just ask Dave what he thinks of this, and then I will come back and explain to you how we can help you. This is something very, very important. And what we're going to be helping you is on the third part of the presentation. And I think that's just an important thing. So, Dave, what do you think of this presentation?
This year coming is a real year when people have to dig deep and reinvent themselves more than ever before. But also it's a year for relationships, creating better grounding for people to help you communicate with you and give you insights. Everything you mentioned in the presentation, I think, is something that people should be very aware of. And unlike most people saying, oh, 2017 is going to be so much better, I don't think it is. I think 2017 is going to be more of the same, but I think people are going to be better prepared. And I think that that's the key thing to take from the presentation that we've just done, is all the elements you should be aware of and more. There will be more that we've missed out on, but the only way you can find them out is to keep in the loop, keep in the conversations.
Exactly, Dave. And I think for all of you guys, you see now, you might have already a plan A. Now, I think it's important to work on a plan B and how can you get this done. And of course, I told you that we will be able to help you. So let me explain to you how we can help you. First of all, once again, the question is how can we help you? So far, you know that your plan A is fine, but if anything goes wrong or anything goes in the same way as I mentioned throughout the presentation, you're going to need a plan B. And always is very good to have a plan B when things are going to be changing as much as they're going to be changing in 2017. So I already presented to you with facts and figures what's going to be happening and how it's going to be working and what's going on in the world, so that you don't get caught in the trick that they're pulling in the media, that they're pulling with Trump and what's going on right now in the world. Therefore, it's important that you know what's happening. Also, I've told you already that you need to grow your consciousness. Your consciousness is incredibly important. And one of the things that we want to do is we want to take you away out of the turbulence area where we can see that you are in the survival or relationship or self-esteem level where arrogance or status or power or judgment or conflict of gossip or blame or greed or becoming territorial or any of these things that can actually stop you from living a fantastic life in these challenging times. Now, the next thing that I shared with you were the trends. The trends were incredibly important because, of course, you need to know where the puck is going exactly as Steve Jobs was mentioning. Also, the other thing that I mentioned that is, of course, very important. It doesn't matter in what business you are. You need to work on your personal brand. Your personal brand is absolutely critical because right now with the saturation of content, your brand is going to make you different, and this is also incredibly important. So everything that you have to create has to be newsworthy, so timely, important, and interesting. People need to understand that you have something better to offer, because if not, it's going to be very difficult for you to make it as an individual, as an entrepreneur, as a company, as a business. It's absolutely critical that you know how to become newsworthy. And last but not least, you cannot be just the lone ranger. Self working entrepreneurs, I think, are going to be disappearing. They need to be on the loop, exactly as Dave was mentioning earlier. So the question is, how could you keep yourself on the loop? So basically, what we have prepared for you is a new webinar, which is the third part of this webinar. You already saw the first part, the second part, now the third part is going to be coming very soon on how you can benefit of all these trends. Now, very important, I want you to understand that we have to make a strong distinction between the people which are taking their life seriously and people which are dabbling and just gonna remain exactly how they are and where they are forever. I believe and I have seen that all these changes are happening. I have asked for help. I am in a number of different masterminds where I am listening from the horse's mouth in many cases what's going on. That's why all this information is so incredibly cutting edge. There's nobody in the Middle East or elsewhere that would be able to provide you with this information. So you've seen this information, which is incredibly useful and incredibly powerful. Dave is a big fan of Star Wars. And he pointed to me that right now the first episode of, or actually it's the fourth episode of Star Wars, how they started the saga in 1977. They have remastered the movie, and they are calling it Star Wars: A New Hope. And I think I love these three words, A New Hope. I don't want anybody to be challenged in the years to come. I don't want anybody to be suffering in the world in the years to come. That's why we have put together this webinar where we're going to be talking about how you can work on your personal branding, how you can improve your business, how can you get all the things that you need in order for you to become newsworthy. And this webinar, obviously, it would be very difficult to make a separation between people which are serious and people which are not serious, people that want that new hope to take their winter and be prepared for their winter. That's why we are putting a small bump on the road to decide who's going to be a tire kicker and to decide who's going to be an action taker. So in order for you to participate in this other webinar, which it's going to be not 1 hour, but it's going to be, let's say, 2.5 hours of absolutely high octane information on the topics that I mentioned to you before, which is on how to become newsworthy, how to work on a different level with Facebook Live, how to work on your brand, how to work on getting yourself a group of people that are going to be there to support you. So we're going to be covering a wide variety of topics. We would like to have approximately 60 to 70 people on the webinar so that it is more manageable. Right now, this webinar is being seen by hundreds of people, and we want to select only the cream of the crop. And that's why we're putting a small bump on the road, which is 100 dirhams or 10 Bahraini dinars or 27 US dollars or 22 or 23 euros, wherever you are. The payment needs to be done in dollars. I think it's very reasonable. It is to offset some of the costs of putting this together, of all the work that Dave and I have been doing. And I think it's an important thing for you to show us that you are the right person. We want to have people which are serious. We don't want to have anybody which, you know, are going to be basically listening to us but not taking action, because I think massive action is just the differentiator between somebody that thrives and somebody that dabbles. And I assume that you are somebody that really cares about what you're going to be doing. So basically, what I want you to do is go right now to www.speakandgrowricher.com/2017. Once again, you can see the link down here, speakandgrowricher.com/2017. You're going to see a secured shopping cart where you will be able to pay $27. I think it's fair. We have already shown you that the information that we can provide for you is incredibly valuable. Those 2 hours that you will spend with these 100 dirhams, which is something that you will possibly spend easily in Starbucks or in a meal, are going to be a lot more beneficial for you. So that's why we want you to go there, and we want to have the serious people only. So once again, go to speakandgrowricher.com/2017. I don't want to extend too long. Once again, we will be disappearing this page uh, as soon as we reach those 50 to 60 people. And right now, I'm sure that with all the people on the webinar, we are going to be having close to that number. So don't delay. As my mentor, Tony Robbins, says, whenever you see something of value, you take action at that specific moment, because if not, you're going to let go of these great opportunities. So once again, go to speakandgrowricher.com/2017. And with this, we would like to finish this webinar. So Dave, any other words that you would like to share with the audience just before we close this webinar?
I've got tons of stuff to share, but I'm going to save it all for the next webinar because I don't want to give too much away now. I want to share everything with everybody, so make sure you join us for the next webinar. I'm working on stuff as we speak, and I can't wait to share it with you.
Fantastic. All right, everybody. Goodbye, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.